Stop. All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Chop It Up. This is episode 6. Thank you, everybody, for the feedback with our past episodes that we have done. We have an exciting 2024 we're going to get into later. But today, the guest that I have, super excited. I've been messing with his stuff for a very long time with releases on Black Label, Disiple, Subsidia, and Cyclops, reigning from Vancouver, British Columbia. I welcome Jiqui to Chop It Up.
Hello. Stoked to be here.
Oh, no, it's awesome. And by the way, for the people at home keeping track of score, Chop It Up right now has had 3 Canadians and 2 Americans on the show. So, Jiqui, I don't know what your thoughts on that are.
I think it's good for the Canadians. Canadian representation is big. Even though I live in the US now, still obviously Canadian at heart.
Hey, it's okay. I have a loony right here for you.
That's huge. I have some change in the kitchen somewhere too, like that I brought when I moved down here. It's been in there for like years.
Yeah. I used to live in Canada for a summer, by the way. I lived in Windsor.
Oh, I think you told me that.
Yeah, Windsor, Ontario. I mean, I woke up and I saw Detroit every single morning, so it wasn't like the heart of it.
Yeah, I've never been over there, but sure I'll get over there at some point. I mean, I've been to Toronto. That's like No, I've been to Montreal too, but I haven't really been on the East Coast too much of Canada, even though I've lived there my whole life.
Yeah. I went to Montreal last year for Northern Invasion, which we'll probably talk about that a little bit later in the show, just of the scene in Montreal. But first off, thank you for coming to Chop It Up. It means a lot for the community, and also just get to know artists a little bit more and how you guys operate and just kind of the behind the scenes side of things. So
yeah, first dude.
Busy 2023 for you.
Yeah,
last year some of the highlights for you,
dude. I mean, it's hard to just pick like a single thing because the whole year was insane in general. But if I had to narrow it down to a few things, when I played Rampage open air, that was one of the craziest experiences just in general. Like the festival on its own was crazy, and it was my first back-to-back with Muerte, who's a long-time friend of mine, like even before he started the Muerte project, because he had another project before he started Muerte. We were homies. He's also Canadian too. We've been homies for a long time, so like getting to kind of come full circle, do a back-to-back at Rampage was insane. It was super fun. Lost Lands this year was also a pretty big highlight. Just because like I've played Lost Lands I think 3 times now, and each time it's kind of like progressed to a bigger slot. And so I played the DPMO takeover on Wampi this year with Sisto back to back, and that was like it was on Sunday at 1 a.m. So I was like, okay, you know what? Sunday, 1 a.m., like, there's going to be people there, but people are probably tired and going to be dead from the festival. But that crowd was like front to back slammed at Wampi. And I was like, it was just so crazy to see for every set, too, for that takeover. It was really like one of those moments where I was just like, the fuck? I don't know if I can swear.
No, yeah.
Or not, but
come on, man.
Yeah, it was fucking crazy, dude. Those are 2 like huge ones, and another that I would say too was playing Summoning. Was really awesome as well. Just because I wasn't on the lineup originally, and then I wanted to attend the festival regardless because just the lineup, and from everything I heard from the year before, I was like, there's no way I'm missing out on that. And then somebody ended up dropping out, and they asked me if I wanted to play, and obviously I said yes, and that was a really awesome experience. Like even if I didn't get to play, it would have been an amazing experience regardless, but there was like the cherry on top for sure, getting to play in the caves.
That's awesome. I was in the Lost Lands crowd for you guys, and your guys' back-to-back was valid. That old takeover was crazy. I think that was the highlight for a bunch of people in like the underground space, or kind of
for sure
thing. Everybody was looking forward to Sunday at midnight.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, gotta give some love to Funk Case there because he's obviously very tapped into the underground and knows what's good with his label and just underground acts. So I mean, he did it proper, putting that lineup together, and I was super stoked to be a part of it because it was just like every artist on that takeover was super deserving of that spot, and it was so sick to see, man. Like we watched every set. I think I didn't catch like the end of Vulgar because we're just super tired, and like I had other shows that weekend, but yeah, like Versa, Automate, everyone just so cracked, and Sisto of course too.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess let's talk the scale of stages now, because I remember watching you last year on the Marketplace stage. You played that at Lost Lands, and then you play Wampy Woods. Wampy Woods, the stage design this year was out of this world. What was it like standing up there on a stage of that size?
It was cool, man. It was kind of intimidating. I can't lie. Like, just because, like, that was for sure the biggest stage I've played on. Like, I've been brought up on stage at Lost Lands, like main stage before, and Wampy in the past. But getting to stand up there and like be the one playing your own set it's a totally different feeling. It's I was I'm like the type of person who gets really nervous before I play sets. So I was shitting my pants before the set. Like usually about like 10 to 15 minutes before my set, I just get like dead. Like I don't talk to anyone. Not because I don't want to. It's just like I'm just like focusing on like getting ready for set. Even for like a show, like a smaller show. Like it's so random. Like I'll get super nervous for no reason.
It's almost a PST from my understanding in the industry. Your preset, or no, sorry, it'd be your PSS, your preset shit you got to take from a lot of people. They always tell me
Oh yeah,
they got.
I do have theirs. I do have that as well. You know, when you're at a festival though, you kind of gotta time it a little bit because like there's not always gonna be a bathroom right by the stage. So it's like, all right,
Yeah.
gotta take the pre-show shit. Gonna have to do that like probably 20 minutes before my set. So sometimes you gotta time the poo perfectly.
Yep. So I guess we can also talk about European and American festivals, since you got to play Rampage last year. Rampage is a bucket list fest of mine, definitely for sure. Both their inside one that they have and also Rampage open air. What were kind of your takeaways from a European fest to an American fest that you see?
It's a good question. I think it's just the culture is very different over there to the US, and I don't mean that in a negative way at all. It's just like very different to see like there's a lot less people dressed up in like I guess rave outfits versus the US. Like everyone's just dressed in like normal clothes, which is like the complete opposite of like, you know, any US EDM festival. Like you're gonna get people in their outfits, and that's like one of the things that like is big in the US culture. And I think there's the way that like the crowd is, I guess. People are a lot more like, I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. I guess like jumpy in Europe. Like there's people that are still like headbanging and stuff, but I noticed like when we were like moving through the crowd, like if you're in like a sardine pack crowd at like Lost Lands, like it's gonna be pretty hard to navigate your way through the crowd. But at Rampage, even during the most packed sets, you could always walk through the crowd. Like if you wanted to go right up to the rail, you could just walk right up to the rail, and like even though the crowd is fully packed, it was super weird because like, you know, let's say you want to go up to the rail like for a set at Lost Lands, like there's no way you're
Good
getting up
luck.
there
Yeah,
unless you park your ass there at the start of the day. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So, but like in terms of like those are two of the big differences. But everyone like, you know, everyone's still like in terms of like attitude and niceness and stuff. Like everyone's super nice. Like I feel like that's just a thing with like electronic music is like everyone's always like very friendly. Like doesn't matter where you are.
No, exactly. Some of like my favorite clips are from Rampage and just how the whole crowd interacts with the music. There's a clip
Yeah.
of Murda back to back. In fact, I don't forget the year. Some double happened, and literally the whole crowd from front to back, just pits were going on, crowd was moving.
Yeah.
And that's something I want to experience sometime in my life, is to make it over to Europe to go to Rampage and kind of see that. And also, there's a huge underground fest one day thing happening soon that Shivers just announced. So
Yeah, I just saw that. That's gonna be crazy.
that lineup is
Um,
nuts.
yeah, I would love to be able to go to that, but I don't think I'll make it happen. But yeah, dude, I mean, it's very different. Like the I mean, I know you're talking about Europe, but like I went to Australia last year. I guess that's another thing I forgot about. That was a huge highlight as well, was when I got to go to Australia last year. But even like the Australian scene versus the European scene versus the US scene, like there's differences in all of them. And I feel like a lot of it just comes down to like the way they feel about the music and the way they interact with the music. You know what I mean? Um, but Australia probably might be my favorite. I don't know. I don't want to pick favorites, but like Australia was crazy, man. Like that those guys are insane down there. And they
I've
just
heard good
love the
things.
music, you know what I mean?
Yeah, some of like the coolest drum and bass sets and crowds you see happen in Australia. They love
Oh
their
yeah.
jungle, their jump up. They love all that stuff. So Australia,
Yeah.
that's another thing on my bucket list. I almost got to go
Dude.
play baseball in Australia, and I turned that down. But that's another discussion for another day.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, no, Australia's like just as a country, Australia's a country, right?
It's a continent.
It's a continent. Okay, yeah,
Continent
no,
that's also a country. Yeah, so correct.
okay, that makes sense. Yeah, dude, but even just like I'll say just as a place, Australia is one of my favorite places I've ever been to. I was actually just in Discord last night with a couple of my friends from Australia, and we were just talking. I was talking about how much I miss it there, and like that's somewhere that I would settle down if I was settling down. Like I would love to live out there. It's beautiful.
That's a long flight, though.
It is. Oh, dude, it was a long travel day getting there and back.
Oh boy. Well, that's
Yeah.
awesome from your 2023, and I know your
Yeah.
2024 is packed, but we'll get into that later today. But we're kind of going to talk about everybody's origin story, as I like to call it. How did the Jiqui project start out? How has it evolved over time? Yeah, and just kind of just talk about how this plan came about.
Yeah, so um I've definitely like I've always kind of been a fan of electronic music, but when I was in I think it was 8th grade, I was hanging out with a buddy, and this is like the most like typical like introduction to like dubstep. But I he showed me Skrillex, and this is right around the time that he dropped the Scary Monsters. And I was like, dude, like, what is this? Like instantly, I was just like, yeah, this is it. This is cool as fuck. So pretty much like the next day after he showed me, I started going down the UKF rabbit hole and like, just listening to anything I could. Um, and I pretty much like I was had my mom's laptop and ripped a copy of FL because I searched. I was like, what program can you use to make this stuff?
Hmm.
So I ripped a copy of FL. I don't condone ripping, but I was in 8th grade. I didn't know what I was. I didn't have any money, so I was like, we're ripping this. And then I downloaded Massive. Well, I downloaded Massive a little bit later, but yeah, downloaded FL. Started messing around. Somewhere out there on YouTube, I'm not saying where, but you can find like the very first ever Jiqui songs like that I made after a couple months of messing in FL. But dude, like back then, like it was really just like YouTube tutorials, and there wasn't a lot of them. Like there was a decent amount, but it's like, it was the amount of resources that there were back then, just like far and few for how many there are now. Um, but yeah, then I just kind of started like messing around with it more, and even back then in like 2012, 2013, 2014, like I was starting to get some decent traction on my music for like the scene how it was back then. I mean, obviously I'm just a random kid working off my mom's laptop, but I won a Dirt Monkey remix
Oh
contest.
wow.
Like when I was in, I'll never forget it. Uh, I was in my math class, and I knew they were announcing the remix contest winners, and I did a collab remix with my homie, and we knew we had like a pretty good remix, And so I was just waiting for the winners to come up, and then all of a sudden just get the DM that we won. I was like, no fucking way. Like, I think I was in 10th grade when that happened. And um like, yeah, I didn't really know what I was doing, and I also was a basketball player in high school and in college as well. Um so I kind of like started focusing on that a little more, and kind of was like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing with music anyways. So I kind of just like, also my mom's laptop crashed and I didn't have any other means of like producing. So I was kind of just like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing anyways. This is fun, but it's whatever. And so I kind of left it for a few years, and then long story short, I ended up stopping playing basketball because of some health reasons, because I got really sick in my senior year and with pneumonia. And that's a whole other story. I won't go down that rabbit hole, but the health basically like fucked things up for me. Like I had a scholarship for basketball in college, but I wasn't enjoying it at all. Just because I wasn't really able to get back to the physical state that I was in after getting sick. So then I went to my first music festival in 2017 or 2016. And then I just kind of like fell back in love with dubstep, electronic music in general. And I was like, yeah, I need to like pick this back up. So as soon as I got back from the music festival, um, I got my mom's old laptop, took it to Best Buy, got it fixed. None of my shit was still on there though, so I had to basically start from scratch. Then I ended up just kind of like messing around with it, yada yada yada. Then I got a new MacBook, and then I really started going hard. And then I dropped out of school. I was like, yeah, you know what? Like, I just want to go all in on this. I wasn't liking school. I was like, I'm just gonna work. I told my parents I was like, I just want to work full time, save up some money, and go back to school. But that was never my plan. I was just like, I'm done with this. And then I started actually getting traction with it, and then basically like just started progressing more and more and more. And then COVID happened, and for me, COVID was definitely a bit of a blessing, just in terms of I was able to focus a lot more time into music. That's when the Black Label EPs happened, and then I came out of COVID and was able to get my visa, and now I'm down here in the US. So it's kind of like it started a long time ago, stopped for a bit, and then yeah, now we're here.
Yeah. Did you get anything for winning the Dirt Monkey contest? Or did you guys just get a DM and like a shout out?
We were supposed to get some merch, I think, or something, but I don't really remember if we ever got it or whatever. I didn't really care. I was just so hyped to win the remix contest. I'd have to look it up and see what the prizes were, but obviously like they reposted the song and stuff. And back then, like I don't know if people know how much people know back then, but like getting a repost from an artist like Dirt Monkey back in like 2012 or like 2013, 2014, whatever, like that's huge. That was
Yes.
huge back then. Like getting a repost from someone like that, that's like that would make my year. Not saying it doesn't mean anything now, it does, but it's not the same. Like
It's
repost chains have always been a thing, and I'm not saying Dirt Monkey uses repost chains. That's he's just the name because I won his remix contest. But like people don't understand, bro. Like getting a repost like that back in the day, that's like life changing almost. That might be a bit of an exaggeration, but like
No, but
it's
it
true.
is true with the bigger artists back in the day that they if they reposted something, they were just like, okay, they really mess with this. Everybody's like, all right, we gotta go check this out. Deep dive on the person that they reposted. I remember that very, very clearly on just going through
Dude,
SoundCloud and all that way back in the day on just being like, oh my gosh, they reposted
well, yeah,
this.
dude. Another thing that happened around that time that just popped into my head was Barely Alive. This is right when Barely Alive was dropping their Firepower EPs. I can't remember the name of the EP, but the EP with Rifle Blow Kiss on it on Firepower. Can't remember the name of the EP off the top of my head, but it was right around the time they dropped that one. And that was right when Barely Alive was like make because when Barely Alive came in, they were doing shit different. Like
Yes.
this is right when they were like changing shit in dubstep. Um and they commented on one of my songs and they were like, damn. And this is like, and this is when like, I still love Barely Alive. Barely Alive to this day is one of my favorites. Like they're great example of someone who's evolved their sound, but still has stayed true to where they came from. But they commented on the song and were like, damn. And I remember my friend called me on Skype and he was like, dude, like Barely Alive commented on your song. And I was like, what the fuck? Like we were freaking out. Like it's just like and not saying those interactions don't mean as much today. They do, but it was just different back then. Like it was just I don't know how to explain it. It's
The
just
one
it was
thing that
different.
I kind of look at it as, you don't know what's going on in somebody's life as like an artist, as like they could be a DJ, they could be a producer, and all it takes is like one person just to be like, hey man, I fuck with this so much, and that will change the progression of somebody's mind on just being like, okay, like I can actually do this big time. So
Yeah, dude.
it only
Like
takes
though,
one person.
dude, it really does. It's just like one of those things. Like it it's it's a like it's just a really cool feeling when someone you look up to so much shows, whether it's as something as simple as a like on your song or like a play out of your song at a festival or a show or something like that, to just like kind of give you that fuel to be like, okay, you know what, I'm doing this. Like if I'm that's it's like a form of validation.
Hmm.
And like another one that I'm thinking of is at Base Canyon. um I was there just attending. This is pre-COVID, before I had any like real like bigger releases or anything. But I had been sending music to company. We were at his Base Canyon set, and I didn't even know he downloaded the song. And he was like one of the first sets of the day, and we were watching, and he dropped one of my songs. I was with all my homies, and we were literally just like jumping around, like losing our minds and shit. And I mean, company's someone who's not just with that play out, just in general, has been like huge for the growth of my project. Like he's been a big supporter and mentor to me. Like kind of after that, like after that play out happened, like we obviously stayed in contact. I kept sending him stuff, and then one thing led to another. We obviously have collab now and stuff. We have a bunch of collabs. He's just like a really good friend of mine now. But it's just crazy, bro. Like just like looking back on it now, super sick feeling.
Yeah, it's kind of cool too with like me, as I'm friends with a bunch of artists and like the underground that are still like super small in the rhythm industry. And when tracks get played out, like I'll freak out. I'll be like, that's like my friend, and everybody be in the crowd would be like, what's that track? Why
Yeah.
are you freaking out? Like, what's going on? I'm just like, you
Well,
don't understand. Like
this is important.
he's been working on this project for like a year, and it's starting to get traction. So even from like my standpoint, is just like, I'm not a producer. I always say that, but I'm just somebody who's loved the music so long that I'm friends with people. Well, I'll always text people. I'll be like,
Yeah.
hey, this track got played out at this set. I just wanted you to know, just to keep
Yeah, dude.
them updated. And that's kind of,
Yeah, no, and like I have friends who do the same for me, and like I honestly like I don't really care how big or small the artist is. Like if someone's playing my shit out, I just think that's cool that they like my music enough to play it in their set, because I know I'm very particular about what I play in my set, and I know a lot of other people are too. So like I said, like I don't really care who it is. Like if you're playing my shit out, I think that's cool, and I appreciate that. And like I mean, of course, like if a massive artist plays my track out, that's gonna be huge, and I'm really hyped. But even still, like it's cool when people just like tag me and like people I don't know, like just tag me of them playing my shit out. I think that's sick.
that's awesome. But we can always talk about that. But everybody always asks these burning questions on names. I get unique answers all the time. Jiqui's a pretty unique name. I've always remembered that. Seeing that everybody pronounces it wrong from the beginning when they first see it. How'd the name come about?
Dude, I've answered. I've told so many people this, but and I'll say the same thing. I have the worst story of how it became a name, and not the worst story, but like it's very anticlimactic. Same friend who introduced me to dubstep. I sent him a couple songs. And I was like, bro, like, what should I call my music project? Couple suggestions came up, and then he said Jiqui, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. And I ran with it. And the meaning behind it, that's the meaning behind it. Two, like, just basically two kids, like, just saying random shit. And then that's what we picked. And then I was actually going to rebrand when I started making music again, like, in, like, 2016, 2017. Because I was like, oh, yeah, you know what, Jiqui, like, I don't really know what this means to me or whatever. And then a couple homies were like, no, dude, like, I think you should just run with it. And I was like, all right. So I did. And yeah, I mean it has kind of like made it challenging to find a direction that I want to go like branding wise with it and stuff, and that's something I'm not very good at. But like last year and this year, like we're really dialing in on the branding aspect of it, and I'm stoked about that. But it's been an annoying, frustrating road to kind of get to that point.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. I mean, hey, names can be simple as that.
Yeah,
You never
yeah.
know what your name's gonna be, and it can like a side project for me is like I came up with it, and everybody's like, "Why'd you come up with this?" And I'm like, "Oh, well, when I was in clans back in the day for trick shotting and sniping, it was always the clan name, and then
Oh, you were a
then
trick
when
shotter?
oh, it was big time, man, big time. Ranked play
Damn.
just came out for Call of Duty, so I'm gonna be grinding
Oh, are
that
you a
all
COD
after.
player?
Big time, big time.
Yeah, dude, same. We should play
Oh,
sometime.
I'm down. I'm
I
down.
mean, I don't okay, I will say I tilt in that game for sure. I try to avoid ranked because it's just not I way too competitive.
We paid for money.
Um
We played for money. So, like, long story short, I grew up in Illinois, and
mhm.
Optic started in the suburbs of Chicago. So, when we first started competitive Call of Duty, like my friend group, we would always go into Chicago to go watch tournaments, and Optic would always be there. So, I kind of always say is like I'm a true Optic gaming fan because I saw the rise from their small roots in
Yeah.
Chicago to where they are now. So, I watch
Uh
CDL all the time. Um,
oh shit. Okay. So are you a sweat?
No, I play casually, but like when
Oh,
I
you play
get
casually?
yeah, but when I get into ranked play, I'll crank it up a notch. But
Yeah, for
I
sure.
I
No.
have friends that literally still to this day, since we were in middle school, still grind Call of Duty all the time. I'm just like, how do you guys keep doing that? Like, I'm here more
Yeah,
for conversation than sweating because we don't get to talk that much anymore.
I feel that. Yeah, I'm a shameless Call of Duty lover. It's just I don't know. I mean, it's fun. It's fun most of the time, but like I was more of a zombies fan back in the day than a multiplayer. I did dabble in trick shotting a little bit, like when I was playing like Modern Warfare 2
Hmm.
and COD 4. I mean, it wasn't as big in COD 4, but like uh, more quick scoping. But um, yeah, I was a big zombies fan.
There you go. Love zombies. I was always scared of that when World War just came out, and everybody was like, "You gotta play zombies." And I remember being in middle school, being like scared of Kino, and looking back at it, I
No,
think all kids were when they first beat World at War, and then that cutscene happened.
well, dude, it was scary. My dad and I used to play split screen on Nocturne on Toten, and just like that was like, I mean, when World at War came out, and
Oh
we
yeah,
would just play like split screen, and it was. I honestly kind of forgot about that until like right now, just like unlocked a core memory for me.
there you go. There you go. Well, perfect. Well, you talked about company being a mentor for you kind of in the past. Who else in your journey have you kind of went to them for advice, how to approach touring? Who's kind of been there for you during your rise?
I know I'm gonna probably forget someone important because there's been a lot of people who have been super helpful. Um, Definitely, phase one has been uh, like he was. I played my first show in the U.S. with him, and then we just kind of like became really tight and gotten like advice from him, and just he's just an overall great guy. Fun case. Um, More on like the recent side of things has been super helpful, and like he's given me good advice in the past as well. Mode step. uh I love Josh. Been just he's such a great guy, been super helpful. Obviously we dropped a collab as well, and he just like just a good guy. um I know I'm gonna be forgetting people. It's a hard question because there's been so many people. Riot 10, Really got to know him on the tour because I was basically on his entire tour last year, and so when you spend so much time with someone, like you just inevitably get close. And um he he's been like he's a great dude, man. And touring with him, like he taught me a lot and gave me a lot of advice and stuff, and he's just a good dude. And same with Midnight Tea, was on the Midnight Tea tour as well this year, which is another highlight I forgot about. But
That was
yeah, same with Jason.
that was a great show, by the way. Shout out.
Thank
That
you.
was
Yeah.
valid in Portland. I needed that.
Yeah, dude. He's just a stand-up dude. He's a great guy, and I honestly I miss playing shows with him. I hope I can play some more shows with him in the future because we just like he's just like, I don't know. He's so funny, man. I love that
He's
guy.
coming back to Portland. It just got
I
announced
saw
like two
that.
days ago, I think.
I saw
So
that.
yeah.
Hey, if you're watching this, Jason, come on. Let's make it happen.
That show was so
Um,
heavy because there was no openers and the doors opened for the Portland show and it was straight into you guys. There's no
yeah.
openers. That's what I loved about it because yeah,
Yeah.
you always support the openers, but it was my first show since being out here in Portland that I found it so interesting that as soon as doors opened up, straight into the supporting acts.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I was kind of surprised that there was like nobody either, but I mean that's kind of how I like it. Just like let's like it's cool for sure.
Hmm.
Um but yeah, no, I know I'm forgetting people for sure, but um there's so many people. Hi, I'm Ghost as well. Um, one of my best friends, like just he's out like just not even just on a music level, on a personal level, has helped me through a lot. And just a great dude. Um, yeah, I don't know. I could list people forever, bro. There's so many people.
It's okay. We all have people to thank on our journeys. We all do.
Yeah,
We all do. Like I always say,
yeah,
shout out Brian, who's Brian, owner of Paragon Thread. He's the reason why Chop It Up happened. So like
yeah. No,
I'm always big on giving back to the people who have helped me in my journey
yeah,
as
dude.
well.
Yeah, dude. Brian's a great dude as well. A very stand-up guy.
They've been popping off again.
Yeah, dude.
Sanzu back to back inactive at Red Rocks.
Oh, dude, I know it's crazy. Like, I was just talking to Brian like last week or like how very recently, and just talking about like everything that's kind of happening in the scene right now and how cool it is that like it definitely feels like there's been a bit of a shift to the underground, and that's like it's cool to see like the real underground. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
uh, uh,
I guess we can kind of just go into it because you went to summoning, and I kind of looked at summoning as kind of like the pinnacle of underground. Danny does a
oh,
fantastic job of
hmm
curating that lineup. I guess from your standpoint, since you both played and attended, sadly, I hope I can get to summoning some point in my life. But kind of just talk about summoning because I am a fanatic about it. Like that lineup, everything you see about it, kind of a festival compared to like that compared to a mainstream festival.
yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, sudden death like knows. Obviously, you can tell by last year's lineup and the year before's lineup. I mean, this year obviously it definitely like expanded a little bit. Like, well, I don't know what the first year was like, but it feels like in terms of the lineup, like it expanded a little bit. But obviously, he knows what's good with the underground, and just I don't think I saw a single set at summoning that I was like, eh. Like every set was amazing, and every artist that was on that lineup deserved to be there. And it was cool to see like some artists that um I'm trying to think, like even like the the Dub Hub stage, like the Victim and Sanzu back to back. Um, Fortunately, I wasn't at that set, but just everything about that festival is just like very underground vibes. But everyone's there for like the music and knows what's good with the underground and stuff. So it was just cool. It was so cool, man.
Yeah,
It's cool to see somebody doing something like that.
I was just gonna like pull up like what they had just real quick again. Like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, yeah, just because from an artist standpoint on the Dub Hub Renegade, I think was big also for a lot of artists that weren't on the
Yeah.
lineup. And then it just seemed like everybody and anybody was there, and it was like open decks. Okay, bet. Let me plug in and rip tracks at summoning.
Yeah, dude. It was like my fiance and I both agreed like that it was our favorite festival we've been to in the US, and there's no way that we would miss that again, regardless if I'm playing or not, because sometimes it's hard to just make it out to a festival, like especially when you're like super busy, like touring a lot and stuff. But summoning is like that's a must be there festival for me.
What was it like playing the cave?
It was cool, man. The cave is like it's a really cool stage slash venue. I mean, the main stage production was great as well. Just the cave, it's just like it's something different. You know what I mean? Like you just get in there and it's very sweaty in there. Not as sweaty as I thought it was gonna be though.
Okay.
I thought it was gonna be way worse. But I mean, obviously, once you pack more people in there, then it starts to get a little sweatier. Like I'm pretty sure for the Chango and Stains back to back, they had to shut the doors because there was too many people and it was so rowdy in there. I was there for a little bit of that set and it was insane.
What's the, because I can't gauge how big it is. What's the capacity like when you play? Do you think you can gauge how many people? Because I can't tell from videos.
I am so bad at gauging like crowd sizes. I want to. Okay. I'm gonna make a guess, but I could be completely wrong. But I want to say like you could fit 1,500, 2,000 people in there. That could be way over. I don't know for sure, but
Maybe we have
that's
to
my
go
guess.
to Cavern's website right now to get the official number.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I'll pull it up.
Okay.
I want to pull it up right now because I want to see.
Oh, it's on the list. I almost made it happen. I almost did, but it's okay. Flights from Portland.
Highly recommend, man. It's okay. Wait, let's see. 750 or up to 1,000 for standing room only show. So I was pretty over.
It's okay though, not by too much.
Not by too much, but yeah, that sounds about right.
Nice. Well, that's awesome.
I feel like 1,000 people in there is gonna get pretty crammed.
I bet. Well, it's on the bucket
Yeah.
list for me. Hopefully, you might see me there next year. You might see the Chop It Up team there next year. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll
dude.
kind of see.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, make it happen, bro. You love it for sure.
I will. So, all right. We talked about 2023. We kind of talked about the journey of Jiqui. Let's go into 2024. What is going on from a music standpoint? Anything that you can share of this awesome project that's been going on, and tour dates. Bring it on. The people want to know what's going on.
I'm trying to think of what I'm allowed to legally share. But no, obviously, like if you follow me, you know I love to release music. So definitely gonna be releasing a good amount of music this year. Actually, well, I don't know when this is gonna be up, but as of recording this, next week I have a remix dropping for someone that I'm very stoked on. Can't say who, but it's gonna be a sick one. And then I have another remix dropping very soon, and then definitely going to be announcing a lot of shows soon in a bunch of my favorite cities to play in. That's really all I can say on that. But it's this year is gonna be like, I hope, of course, it's going to be a really big step forward for Jiqui, and just like how I was talking about earlier, like really dialing in the branding and stuff. Me and my boy Tino Mental Cell on IG, he is an insanely cracked photographer, videographer. We shot some really cool stuff for the project that I get to share very soon, and I'm super stoked on it. But yeah, just more music, more shows. That's really all I can say.
Any bucket list things for 2024 you want to hit?
I think, I don't know. One of my biggest goals right now is to play Red Rocks. I really want to play Red Rocks. I'd also love to play at the Brooklyn Mirage. Those are two like huge goals for for me, venue wise. I am crossing off one bucket list goal for this year. I can say that. Not one of the two I just said, something else. But I can't really say anything more than that. But it's been a huge goal of mine for a while now, and we're doing it this year.
The momentum's going. That's awesome to know. Just,
Yeah.
I always ask, everybody has goals, I feel like, regardless on what we do in life. Having goals is great.
Yeah.
Hitting those goals so we push ourselves in our projects, our daily life. I mean, you being able to cross off a bucket list one coming up here, I think that's a kudos to yourself and your team for that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I'm very stoked.
but I guess we can talk venues though real quick. You've played all over now.
Yeah.
I know I can't just go like one favorite venue. What's like 3 venues that stick out to you that you've played?
It's a good question. I just played the Hollywood Palladium recently. That was a really cool venue. It was super fun. Did a back-to-back with Muerte there. Um, I really love Electricity in Pontiac in Michigan. That venue's creepy. Very like there's no way that place isn't haunted. There's no way. But Michigan's like a really underrated place to play. I feel like every time I play there, it's always a really fun time, and I always look forward to playing in Michigan. Specifically, Pontiac and Grand Rapids have both been 2 places that have really stood out to me. Trying to think of other venues that I like. I don't know. I love all venues. Webster Hall's a cool one as well.
Okay.
I'm playing in Webster Hall again in New York soon. I'm stoked for that.
That's what I was gonna say too. With like Michigan, not a lot of people knew. Like me growing up in the Midwest, all I knew about was EDM culture in Michigan. It was like Grand Rapids always had everything. Of course, Electric Forest. Like me growing up, and like high school is just like go to Rothbury, go to Michigan. So Michigan always had that standoff. But I'm just a music history person, just in general, like all types of music. So I always try to check off venues on my bucket list always. So like the Gorge, I was able to check off this past summer.
Oh, dude, okay, I should have said the Gorge.
Oh.
The Gorge is incredible.
Yes.
Just being there and playing there is like even just being there is in its own is fun, but getting to play there is a treat for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I love the Gorge. The Gorge might be my favorite. I don't know how I didn't think about the Gorge, but
it's okay. I know I was like, even though like we love EDM, I always like go back just to like history in general. I got to go to Dallas Fort Worth, and we went to Billy Bob's, which is like the world's biggest honky tonk. It's a super famous venue for country artists, like unbelievable. So just being able to just like go places for me and just be like, okay, I got to go to this venue. That's super cool. That's kind of how I've been going.
Yeah.
And I always talk about Portland scene on just like the Northern Warehouse is sick here in town.
I've heard that venue is really cool, but I've never been before.
It is super cool. Sadly, they got like shut down from the city right now.
I heard about that.
Yeah, just some weird licensing situations on. They're working through it. Because Phase One, Riot 10, and Resurrect played a show last night here in Portland. And they had to change venues for it.
Okay.
But you played 45 East. 45 East is pretty sick with the LED panels on the ceiling.
Yeah.
It gets
45
sweaty.
East is a dope venue.
It gets sweaty in there. Oh my gosh, I was soaked. I'm trying to think what else.
No, well, two of our best friends live in Portland, so we go up there. Like, I wish we went up there a little bit more, but we do visit Portland. Well, also me being from BC, like I am up there. Not like I said, not as much as I want to be, but Portland is a great city.
Mm-hmm.
I love it up there. Banging food.
We could have done this on this wonderful L couch behind us, but
yeah,
it's okay. It's all right.
I know.
It's all good. Yeah, I just appreciate first off on just like me just approaching you in the green room for Samplify and Calcium on just kind of me shooting my shot with you. I don't know. I'm kind of just a little awkward kind of in person sometimes, especially with artists, because I respect everybody's privacy, and I'm that one person where I'm just like, I don't want to go bother somebody. That's who I am.
For sure.
So I appreciate it.
I feel that, dude. No, But yeah, no, I mean, I already knew of your podcast, like I said before, beforehand. So I was super down, when you asked, like no brainer for sure.
You're like, let's do it right now in this green room. And
Yeah, let's do it right
I
now.
was like, oh, it's a little too loud in here. We can't do that. But yeah, I guess if there's anything else that you just want to talk about, shout out stuff that you got going on for you. And then I always ask the burning question at the end of Chop It Up. Who are people I need to have on the podcast next? So I'll let you kind of have some closing thoughts.
So, in terms of stuff going on, mainly just the stuff I said, about the remixes and music coming up. Shout outs. Feel like I shouted out a bunch of people earlier.
You did.
Trying to think here. Any closing thoughts? No, I mean, I think dubstep is in a sick place right now, and I'm stoked to see where it goes this year because I feel like there's a big movement happening in the underground, and it's gonna be crazy to see where it goes this year and what happens because I think there's a big not I don't want to say shift, but like something is happening and it's sick to see. So shout out to all the underground artists out there right now that are killing it and making that change that the scene needs. And yeah, that's the biggest shout out I got right now.
No, I agree with you on that statement. I feel like it was a couple of years ago, I guess pre-COVID, everybody was like, yeah, dubstep is kind of like stale right now. I feel like stocks right now, if we were on a public trading, stocks are up right now.
Well, dude, the thing is, like, even back in 2013, 2014, like when I started like doing like couple years after I started producing, like people always want something to be mad about. They always want to say dubstep is stale, dubstep is stale, dubstep is stale. Like I've like you, it just never goes away. It's just because people aren't like hearing what they want to hear, or So I think no matter what place dubstep is in, you're always gonna have people that are saying dubstep is stale when it's there has been points when it's a little stagnant, but realistically, like you have to find the artists that you like and the artists that are pushing shit forward and stick with those artists because there's always people who are innovating and pushing shit forward. And I don't think dubstep truly ever does get stale, but it does get stagnant sometimes. But and then even like if you're saying dubstep is stale right now, I don't know what to tell you, man.
I would be like, just go on SoundCloud and you could just find crazy projects that have like 100 followers, and
Yeah,
it's
and
that
and
simple.
the thing is like that people need to understand is like some people have like people just have preferences like and I'm not shitting on any style of dubstep or anything, but there's very distinct styles of dubstep. Like right now rhythm is like doing really well and popping. But then you have like your more I guess like mainstream dubstep, and there's nothing wrong with that music. Like it's just there's a consumer for that, and there's a consumer for rhythm, and there's a consumer for weirder bass music and stuff. Like there's consumers for everything. So that's what people need to understand. And those like subgenres, I don't even want to get in the genre discussion, but like those styles like are flip-flopping, and it's just that's the thing is like people have preferences,
Yep.
and there's nothing wrong with liking one over the other. But I mean, me personally, I'm always going to be looking for like the underground stuff and like people who are innovating in the underground, because that's where the music that I enjoy comes from.
I agree with that totally. I mean, it's just like
Yeah,
me, I have open ears with everything, all type of
totally,
music. So it's just like,
totally,
and I'm just like, if you fine with that, that's fine. I respect your thing. I
exactly,
do my thing. It's all just like respect. I think that's sometimes where things kind of get a little too chaotic. I know Twitter's a little
for
toxic on
sure.
things on
No, it
things.
does. And I mean, the thing is, dude, like, I think it's more toxic because of how niche the community really is and how small it really is. So people's voices are just amplified on social media, as opposed to like, let's just use rap for an example. Like like it's much bigger, way bigger than this will ever be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So that's why like the community gets like so like you know what I mean?
No, yeah.
But I do think that that social media really does play a big part in like that toxicity that is sometimes there. But I do feel like that's just a new norm that is going to be a thing. But I also do feel like as of late, it's definitely been better than it
Mm-hmm.
was.
And I think it's also a positive thing too in our scene with
Totally.
artists. All it takes is one person on TikTok who's a producer that's super small, post something, and all of a suddenly, boom, big time. Everybody's
Yeah.
messing with her project. So I think there's pros and cons with everything in business and how things
Yeah,
work
of
out.
course. For
But
sure. I think it's just like it's it's one of those things that it's as someone who's been I mean, there's people who have obviously been doing this a lot longer than I have, but as someone who's been doing this since like 2012 and seeing the way it's progressed since that, it's definitely like there's sometimes where I kind of reminisce a little bit on like the state of how things were like before social media. Um, and it definitely is like a little frustrating sometimes, but that's not a knock to any specific person. It's more just like the concept as a whole. It's like you know what I mean?
yeah, it's almost just like deep sigh. It's okay. We're all good.
I,
It's all
yeah,
good. We're
exactly.
all good. We're all friends. Well,
Exactly.
perfect. Well, Jiqui, I thank you first off once again. Thank you for coming
Thank
on
you for having me.
Chop It Up. This is a wonderful episode with you. I always ask though, who should be on Chop It Up next?
Oh yeah, you did ask me that, and I didn't think about it at all.
No, you're good. You're
Um,
good.
that is a good question. Who should be on Chop It Up next? Victim. I don't know how you get Victim because he wears a mask, but that's my suggestion.
I do love Victim.
Uh,
Shout out the
Shout
Masquerade
out
Boys.
Victim.
Shout out Victim.
Yeah, yeah. I'll shout out the Masquerade in general, but Victim. I love that dude. He is just insane producer.
Good stuff.
All
Good
those
stuff.
guys are.
All of them are,
Yeah.
yes. But sounds good. Well, everything for Jiqui will be linked in the description below. Music, everything below. Upcoming tour dates when they are finally announced, they will be in the link also below for tickets. Once again, all of his socials are below his name, as you can see from this wonderful display we got here for Chop It Up. So we are moving into more virtual stuff. We're going to do in-person and virtual for Chop It Up coming into 2024. We got some good stuff coming. I already told Jiqui some stuff, and I think
It is some very cool stuff.
yeah. So
Yeah.
thank
You guys for having me, bro.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
No problem.
Shout
No,
out
I
to all of you
appreciate
guys working on this.
Yep. It's only four of us. Shout out Hunter, Justin, and Chris on our Chop It Up team. This wouldn't be possible with our team that we have here. So, Jiqui, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thank you guys.